In December of 2016, in this great city, Kim Foxx took this seat to serve the people of Cook County as state's attorney. Born and raised in Chicago's Cabrini Green, it was her single mom and grandmother who taught Kim how to be resilient.
And I wear them, the toughness of my mother and the empathy and compassion of my grandmother.
Her tenure would prove historic. When she won this seat, less than 1% of elected prosecutors in the country were women of color. Foxx became the first Black woman to be elected to lead the country's second largest prosecutor's office.
But I think more than that, it just meant so much that she wanted to do this to serve her communities.
The work State's Attorney Foxx did while holding office challenged the criminal justice system and pushed it toward reform in Cook County and beyond.
There's no state's attorney in my memory in Cook County who was willing to take on the police department and bad actors in the state's attorney's office.
Prosecutors saw them bleeding, hurt. Prosecutors saw them, heard them when they said, that officer hurt me. That officer choked me. Prosecutors in this office.
It was the countless number of Cook County's wrongfully convicted that spurred Kim to run for office.
I knew too much. We had a system that preyed upon poor, vulnerable Black folks.
When Kim Foxx won her first term as state's attorney in 2016, Chicago was grappling with the death of Laquan McDonald, the 17-year-old who was shot 16 times by a Chicago police officer. Foxx took the reins with the goal of righting the wrongs of rampant police misconduct, which had earned Chicago the infamous title as the false confession capital.
Under my tenure, the story would be that we intentionally, aggressively, purposely tried to right the wrongs of the past.
The office's wrongful conviction review unit worked to overturn wrongful convictions, most tied to disgraced Chicago Police Sergeant Ronald Watts. During Foxx's 8 years as state's attorney, the office reviewed nearly 250 wrongful conviction cases that were overturned.
I would bet that she has acknowledged more wrongful convictions than all of her predecessors put together. I would bet that. And that damns everybody who came before her in the office. I'm sorry, but it does.
Charles Johnson, part of the Marquette Park Four, spent 21 years in prison after falsely confessing as a teen to a 1995 double murder. In February of 2017, his conviction was vacated.
Man, that feeling is like no other. When you actually leave there from being gone so long, the air tastes different on the other side. Everything is just different.
Kim Foxx is in a line of other great liberators. Her legacy will live for eternity. You can't take away the fact that she worked to exonerate Black men who were wrongfully convicted.
If I'm being honest, I thought people would be more on board. But I think I missed that there was an incentive for some people to not uncover that, because the incentive for them was, you're gonna expose my culpability.
In another landmark milestone, State's Attorney Foxx joined the fight to legalize cannabis in Illinois.
If you ask me what was the true linchpin that allowed us to get over the finish line, it was Kim's leadership, stepping in, leaning in, making those phone calls.
Victory finally came in May of 2019 when Illinois became the first state to legalize cannabis by passing it in the legislature. Before that law even went into effect, State's Attorney Foxx announced the rollout of the Cannabis Expungement Project, which automatically vacated more than 15,000 low-level cannabis convictions across the state. And then there was this news conference Foxx felt compelled to conduct in 2019 after watching Lifetime's documentary, Surviving R. Kelly. In an unprecedented move, the chief prosecutor shared that she too was a survivor of sexual assault.
I'm here today to encourage victims of sexual assault or domestic violence related to these allegations to please get in touch with our office.
She was brave to do that. She had the audacity to do that. And it was one of her proudest moments.
Her vulnerability and transparency are her superpower.
That news conference eventually led to R. Kelly's indictment. Another celebrity case that crashed into Foxx's lap, Jussie Smollett.
People think that I don't want to talk about Jussie. And the thing is, I actually do want to talk about Jussie.
In January of 2019, the actor told Chicago police he was attacked by two men during a hate crime. It was a lie.
I didn't decide what happened with Jussie. I recused myself because his family had reached out to me because they thought he was a victim. And I talked to them. And when it became clear, I stopped. And in the interest of not having anyone question what happened in this case, I took myself out of it.
Colleagues in the state's attorney's office charged Smollett for filing that false police report. By March, the state's attorney's office announced a deal with Smollett, dropping his charges and keeping his bail as restitution. But that decision did not sit well with city officials. A special prosecutor was brought in to investigate, and Smollett was charged, convicted, and sentenced to jail time. Foxx and her office were also investigated.
Went through all of my text messages. Went through all of my photos. All of my photos.
Despite that, in November of 2020, Foxx won her bid for re-election.
If you're a threat to the public, no matter how much access to cash you have, you should be detained.
Foxx worked part of a coalition pushing for bail reform in Illinois. In January of 2021, the Pretrial Fairness Act passed the General Assembly, but the law faced years of legal challenges before finally being implemented in September of 2023, making Illinois the first state in the country to abolish cash bail.
The savings of money in anguish and mortgages and refis that aren't happening right now because we abolished cash bail that directly impacted Black folks.
Also during her second term, Foxx published the Do Not Call list, which names disreputable members of law enforcement that Cook County prosecutors refused to call as witnesses. This, while the office worked to retain talent and remain competitive, instituting salary increases for hundreds of assistant state's attorneys.
She really was an advocate for all our ASAs, for all of us, to make sure we got better salaries, try to figure out different ways and better ways to hire and bring people in.
From day one, State's Attorney Foxx was determined to make data a focal point in the transformation of this office, and a move that marks a first in the country. In 2017, State's Attorney Foxx hired a chief data officer. That led to the office's online database sharing statistics on prosecutions, convictions, and sentencing, marking a new level of transparency.
So the receipts showed us where there were areas of opportunity for us to do something different, to do something better, prosecuting more shoplifting cases than anything else outside of drugs. And that's crazy to me.
Once the data started piling up, it led to a shift in the office's priorities.
That yes, we have sent fewer people to jail for low-level nonviolent offenses. And we've not seen them pick up other violent offenses.
While this chief prosecutor was making gains in the office, so were other Black women, picking up prosecutor seats across the country. But that progress came with a tremendous cost.
The personal attacks that threatened the safety of us, and in particular our daughters, our children, was a game changer. And that started to take a real mental toll.
There's someone who served 18 months in federal prison for threatening to rattle my brain with bullets. There's someone who was charged a couple years ago for threatening to shoot me in the head and hang me from a tree. I don't know that you're ever prepared for that.
I think about like the hate mail, the threats on her and her family. You never want to see somebody that you love have to endure those kinds of things.
But she persisted. Among all of her accomplishments, State's Attorney Foxx is most proud of creating a culture of inclusion.
that we've had more people of color in leadership positions than any other period in this office. People who got promoted who would never have gotten promoted before. That we have our employee resource groups that are boldly, proudly proclaiming, I'm Black, I'm LGBTQ, I'm gay, I don't have to hide.
Behind the scenes, Foxx was a mother of 2 girls, Kai and Kendall. In 2018, she opened up her home to 2 sisters, Sydney and Savannah, who were experiencing a series of challenges at home. It was supposed to be temporary.
Their parents did not come back. And they're my daughters. They're my daughters. I knew that if we didn't care for those girls, there was a likelihood that they might end up in foster care.
And the love from all of her girls is mutual.
My mom is really everything to me.
They studied, applied to college. They're all gone. I'm so proud of them. I am so proud of them. And those girls are my proudest legacy, truly. This is work. This is a job. Those girls are my legacy.
In April of 2023, Foxx made a stunning announcement during a City Club speech.
And so I am announcing today that at the conclusion of my term in November of 2024, I will be stepping down as state's attorney. I will not be on next year's ballot by my choice.
The conclusion of her second term as state's attorney would close out 20 years in the prosecutor's office. Her time in the seat will impact generations.
Her successors will be held accountable to the standard that she set. She was willing to do the right thing, even though it was extraordinarily difficult, for which, God bless her.
The love and the conviction that Kim Foxx has to bring real liberation to people, and especially Black men, it's a love that is quite profound.
Yeah, she is like the goddess of criminal justice righteousness, if you will. Like, if you want to see what it looks like to walk boldly in this space, go talk to Kim Foxx.
If you see how she shows up and stands 10 toes down for folks in community, there just simply is nobody else like her.
She really pushed for institutional change, and she achieved it.
The work was so important, and doing it the way that I did it meant that we were doing something radically different that would have an impact. It was a grueling, grueling ride, but I'm built for that. I'm built for this.